Every fight leaves in its wake two very different stories.
Liev Schreiber, The Voice, 24/7, HBO, Comcast On Demand. Sergey Kovalev, his child, and Andre Ward, his child. Hugging, caressing, but it won't be long before this weekend. Pay-per-view, HBO. Get it? Comcast. Right away, you won't want to miss it. One rematch that will live up to the billing. Okay, now listen. Before we talk boxing, I got to talk brown bag. How about the folks at the McDonald's in Beaver? Just drove through. 2 10-piece McNuggets, medium coffee, a little over $6. I'm loving it. And I almost stopped at his house if the living room lights would have been on, but I decided to come home and grab him and put him on the Comcast Sports Line because we got a lot of stuff to talk to the fight professor about. Bernie Vukovic, Executive Brokerage Services. You may know him from that amazing company that he has been a part of that brand for decades, and no one does it better when it comes to handling your finances. Bernie, I'm looking forward to this fight, but before we talk about it, we have to talk about the lead story today. Conor McGregor, from the octagon to the ring, his first boxing match, August 26th in Las Vegas. It will be against Floyd Mayweather. What do you make of it?
Big show. Interesting because, it's a guy who's very well known in the boxing world, Floyd Mayweather. Of course, he hasn't fought in a year, and he's 40 years old. Fought in more than a year, hasn't fought. And McGregor, who's a UFC guy who has limited boxing experience, but it'll be something that people will be interested in because it's a show. I don't look for McGregor to do well. I think he'll lose. I don't know that he'll be knocked out because Mayweather is not known for great punching power, and Conor's a tough guy. He cuts easily, so depending on the fight that Mayweather wants to have, whether he's going to use his normal style of moving and I hate to say running, but running and moving and boxing and running and moving in and out, and I don't think McGregor's going to be able to find him in the ring.
1976, Tokyo. You brought this up earlier. We did a little pre-video recording chat on the phone, and it immediately made me think. Muhammad Ali and Antonio Anako, a professional wrestler, they met in Tokyo. It was very boring, but I got to say, look, you have to be curious about this one because McGregor is a tough customer. He's got the Irish heritage, and he can throw punches in bunches, and I think his stamina will not be questioned. And there is a curiosity factor here because I'll tell you, pure boxing fans are wondering what's happening to their sport pay-per-view wise. Well, a lot of it has left town because of the job Dana White is doing and the UFC. It's been incredible, and it's been really lapping, if you will, professional boxing. So from a standpoint of a purist wondering what's happened to the game, and from someone who loves the UFC, especially the millennials out there who are plugging in and spending a lot of bucks, and I think Dana White's a great promoter, as good as anybody in the game, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, I mean, you name it, even Don King in his heyday. This guy, they have found magic there. So you have to be at least curious enough to want to get this thing, Bernie.
Oh, sure, and that's what will happen. Somebody told me they were looking for 2 million pay-per-views. I don't know that that's possible, but certainly there'll be a lot of people watching this who normally would not watch this fight. You'll have UFC people watching, and they'll be rooting for McGregor, and you'll have the typical boxing fan rooting for Mayweather. So that'll be the thing that draws the pay-per-view fan. If it's like the other matches like that have been staged over the years, I don't look for it to be very exciting.
The reason I believe that it is all Floyd Mayweather because of the jab and the distance aspect about being a true boxer. And when you fight in the UFC, it's about getting in close, and it's about, tangling one up and taking them to the floor and using knees, feet, and whatever you can to do your job. But being a boxer, there's a little bit more strategy involved, although I have great respect for UFC fighters and have been for a very long time. I think if you put Mayweather in an octagon, he probably would have a very difficult time too. So you got to give Conor McGregor for credit for stepping up and stepping in on a huge stage against one of the game's best. Plus, Mayweather's been away for a while, and his stamina and being in shape has never been a question. but he is approaching that fourth decade. But if anybody can pull it off, he can. But it's definitely going to be curiosity that's going to get people to really click on and pay a whole lot of money to see this. And I don't think they'll be disappointed, but I do think Mayweather will get the win. Now, to a fight.
Rob, if it goes into the later rounds,
okay,
you gotta wonder whether McGregor, who's probably never been in a fight longer than 5 rounds. I know some of those UFC fights that I've seen are 5-rounders, 3 minutes each, or sometimes they even have a longer round than that. But you start to fight a 10-round fight, especially if you're trying to catch a guy for 7 or 8 rounds and you haven't been able to catch up to him, you're going to be tired. Now, he's going to be in great shape. He always is. So is Mayweather. I just don't know that he'll be able to sustain any kind of an effort against Mayweather if the fight gets to the later rounds.
Okay, that HBO and Showtime are part of the same company, but that fight, meaning the one we were just talking about, will be on Showtime. But HBO is going to be carrying this weekend. It is going to be Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, the rematch. It's going to be at Mandalay Bay. And obviously the idea is for unification in this light heavyweight division and a date with Adonis Stevenson. Hopefully, whoever comes out of this a winner, they'll get that done and we can start unifying these titles. But, you know, a lot of times these fights don't live up to the hype. But, you know, the last time they got together in which Ward was the winner with that unanimous decision, he a true boxer, Kovalev an amazing puncher. Both really good guys in and out of the ring. And I tell you, this is one you want to pay some money to see on HBO. It should be a good fight, and I know a lot of people are anticipating it, including you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at this contrasting styles. That's what makes the fight. Ward's a superior boxer, has a good chin, doesn't have the greatest punching power as a light heavyweight. Don't forget, much of his career has been as a super middleweight, 168 pounds, and now he's going to fight at 175, and I think when they fought the last time, he was in the 172, 173 range, and the other guy came down to make weight, but he's walking around much heavier, so he's generally a bigger guy outside the ring and, you know, between fights, and he has a bigger punch. That is Kovalev, so that's always going to be something that Ward will be watching for. I mean, he did get dropped, if you remember, in their first fight. He got knocked down by Kovalev. He got up immediately and wasn't really hurt, but Kovalev has such punching power that he could be a threat at any time in that fight. So I think you're going to see basically a repeat of that fight. And they're so far along in their careers that they're not going to change their style. They may have a nuance or two that they didn't have in the previous fight, but this fight's going to be the same essentially as it was last time, with Ward boxing, moving, throwing punches, and Kovalev probably not throwing as many punches, trying to land the one punch that ends the fight.
I think defense wins it. Who has the better defensive skills in this fight?
Well, that's a good question. People would say it would be Ward, and I would probably agree with that, but don't discount Kovalev's defense. Of course, you know, you've heard it said that the best defense is a good offense, and Kovalev has a great offense, but he also is a good defensive fighter. I don't think I've ever seen him really hurt in all the fights I've watched.
Bernie, in closing, you think this is going to be a big statement, this Showtime love fest? We're going to see nothing but these two guys, and no one can sell a product better than Mayweather. But do you think there's really a lot more at stake here as far as bragging rights are concerned? And if by some chance Conor McGregor would win this thing, what's this do for boxing, especially him in a boxing ring in his first boxing match? One thing you cannot argue when it comes to Dana White and the UFC, man, I'll tell you, they got a lot of guts, a lot of courage, and they're willing to stick their chin out there and see what happens. So they have everything to win and really nothing to lose here, I think.
Well, you probably, however, keep in mind that McGregor is a UFC fighter. So he does 3 things. He boxes, we call it striking. He has a ground game, and he can kick. Now, 2/3 of his skills he won't be able to use in this fight. He won't be able to kick. He won't be able to take Mayweather to the mat. So he's going to have to rely on boxing skill. If you analyze it from that point of view, and you say, okay, we have a guy who's going to use boxing skills, which represent about 1/3 of his arsenal, and how sharp can he be at boxing if, in fact, he relied on those other 2 skill sets to win, versus a guy who's known for his boxing skills I don't think it'll be a close fight.
All right, what I do think you should do, that'll be, of course, this weekend. You got the Kovalev Ward fight on HBO, and then McGregor and Mayweather on Showtime. But what you need to do now is on demand, Comcast, and click on Boxing 24/7 Ward Kovalev, and you will see why this is going to be one that is anticipated and one rematch that will live up to the hype this weekend. Bernie, always a pleasure. Have a great rest of your night.
You too, Rob. Thanks.
We won. And they're kind of like, yeah, of course we won the fight. What you talking